Today on our 2017 Subaru Crosstrek, we're going to be taking a look at and also showing you how to install the CURT Custom Fit Class 1 Trailer Hitch Receiver. This offers the 1¼ by 1¼ receiver tube opening. Its part number is 11286. Here's what our hitch is going to look like installed in the vehicle. As you can see, the cross tube is going to come across the rear of the fascia here. It tucks up really nicely to it. It's a nice finished look with the side plates on each end, which is different from some of the other Class 1 hitches available for the Crosstrek. See, the safety chain connection points are going to be a plate style down here. Nice large oval for connecting chains. Got our 1¼ by 1¼ receiver tube opening. That's going to be capped off with that flush style reinforcement collar. It gives the hitch a nice look, I think. Now, a Class 1 hitch is going to be designed for light duty towing needs, your smaller cargo carriers, or your smaller bike racks, like your 2 bike racks. You want to be sure that whatever you put in here is a Class 1 accessory, and you want to be sure whatever you secure it with in the 1/2" diameter pinhole here is also rated for Class 1 use. Now, there is a good amount of room all the way around our pinhole, so even if you go with like an anti-rattle bolt, maybe a locking hitch pin, you shouldn't have any troubles getting to that. It's pretty open here on both sides as well. Now, when it comes to towing or hauling around your bikes, things like that, the hitch is going to give us a 200-pound tongue weight rating, so that's the maximum downward force we can put on a receiver tube opening, and it's going to offer a 2,000-pound gross trailer weight rating. That would be the total weight of our trailer and anything that we were to load up on it. Now, of course, we do want to check the owner's manual on the Crosstrek. We want to see what its tow rating is, and we'll use whichever of those numbers are the lowest. Another thing to keep in mind, anytime you're going to be using the hitch with a non-wheeled load, something other than a trailer like your cargo carrier or your bike rack, CURT does recommend the use of a stabilization strap. Now, a few measurements that'll be helpful for selecting your bike rack or hitch cargo carrier. Be from the ground to the inside top edge of a receiver tube opening, it's about 14¾ inch. Then from the center of our hitch pinhole to the outermost edge of our bumper, it's about 2¼ inches. Now, to begin our installation, we need to get our exhaust lowered down. Before we do, we're going to support it with this strap. Just going to go underneath the suspension here. That way when that comes down, it'll have something to rest on. Now, to get the exhaust to come down, we're going to have 4 rubber hangers that we're going to take off. You can see on the left side of the exhaust, or over on the driver's side, there's going to be one right here. We come over here to the right, or the passenger side. We have one located about in that same spot, then one just in front of that, closer to the front of the vehicle. And then we'll move up the exhaust pipe just a little bit here. We're going to have our 4th one right in here. It's going to be just in front of that rear differential. Now, to get these removed, we like to use a little bit of spray lubricant and then a big screwdriver or pry bar. You just need to slide them off of the metal studs there. You can leave one side attached. Now we can just kind of take some of the tension out of our strap there. Allow that to come down a little bit. Should give us plenty of room to work. Now, with the exhaust out of the way, we want to get the plugs removed from both frame rails. We're going to have 3 on the driver's side here, and we'll have 3 in the exact same spot on the passenger side. We're just going to pull down, pretty simple, get them out of there. We'll do that on both sides of our vehicle. Now, our attachment points are going to be the larger hole that's here closer to the front and the one all the way in the back. This is going to be our access hole, or the hole that we use to get our bolt and our spacer block in. You'll see that's not wide enough to fit our spacer block in, so we'll need to enlarge that slightly. Now, we're going to enlarge one side here. You can do it a couple different ways. You could do it with a file, get in there. The cutoff wheel is going to be a little bit quicker for us. So what we need to do is just make a small gap in there wide enough for the spacers to fit in, or the spacer blocks to go in. You see just cutting a little notch there. It's going to allow those spacers to go in freely. We want to do the same thing on our passenger side. Now, we'll take our pull wire that's going to go in our rear attachment point. Just guide it up so it'll come out of our forward attachment point there. Once that's down and out, we're going to use the smaller of the spacer blocks for our rear hole. We're going to have one that's 2.5, and we've got one that's 3. So the rear hole closest to the rear of the vehicle gets the smaller. Now we can slide that smaller block on. We want to thread on one of our smaller 7/16 inch carriage bolts. Slide our spacer block up in the frame, and then our bolt. And we just gently pull, that'll come down through. We're going to do the same thing for the forward attachment point now, but we're going to use the larger spacer block as we said, and also the 1/2 inch carriage bolt. Now for our forward attachment point, we want to have our spacer block and our bolt already on our pull wire. We're going to feed our bolt in, our spacer block, and just reverse pull it right back out of our attachment point. And we'll head over to the passenger side and get our hardware in place there. Now the area that we've trimmed out here will have exposed some bare metal. So I think it's a good idea to use either some spray paint here or even some undercoating. Just cover that up so we don't have to worry about rusting down the road. Now with the help of an extra set of hands, we're going to get our hitch raised into position. This is when you'll want to grab your round hole spacer block. That's going to be positioned between the hitch and the frame, just like that, and then we'll secure it underneath with our 1/2 inch flange nut. The rear hole here, you'll want to use the smaller 7/16 inch flange nut. Be careful when you raise the hitch that you don't push your bolts back up in the frame. Just confirm that they're lined up. Now we can take a quick look. We want to make sure we've got our hitch centered with the vehicle. We'll start snugging down that hardware. Now we're going to tighten down all of our hardware to the specifications, which will be listed in our instructions. Now we're going to go back through and replace our exhaust hangers. It's a good idea to use a little bit more spray lubricant here. All right, then we pull down our strap and our hitch will be ready for use. With our exhaust back in place, that's going to complete our installation of the CURT Custom Fit Class 1 Trailer Hitch Receiver, part number C11286 on our 2017 Subaru Crosstrek.
Click the link below to shop, learn more, or visit us at etrailer.com.